Hey everybody, this is a video to show you how to do painting of the monkey faces. There are lots of monkeys in the play. We have a set of brown monkeys and we have a set of gray or black monkeys that also serve as vultures and bees. Everybody's basic features are going to be the same. For the brown monkeys and the gray black monkeys, you'll have three different colors. You'll have a really dark black or brown. You'll have a medium tone, and you'll have a really light tone. So this is a video with my trusty assistant Kendall, my model, who will be I'll be showing her, having her look at the camera. There she is. Periodically to show you what I'm doing. Hopefully these will take somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 to 12 minutes a piece. It is still rapid fire, but just I wanted to give everybody a basic overview so you could kind of get an idea of what the process needs to be for all these characters. Okay? So also for the monkeys, I'll have hopefully two wider brushes and then a smaller brush, which we'll use for the accents. The two wider brushes will be for the light and medium tones because they have a large coverage area. And hopefully this will help everybody feel comfortable with the process. All right, here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my camera teed up to see you. Can you sit up high? It's nice and tall for me. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint her entire face with the light color. It just gives a good basis for the paint to adhere to. And I start with the eyebrows so that it can start to dry in the hair. The eyes are a little bit tricky. You got to be careful around the bottom eyelid because sometimes the kids just aren't used to something being that close to their eyes. So I try and paint the eyelid and try and avoid the eyelashes because leaving them their natural color, especially if they're dark, will help them stand out. The paint might look a little bit bubbly the first go round. If it does, it's okay. As it dries, it will be less so, and you can always go back over with a really light second coat to kind of even it out. Sometimes I'm finding with this paint, I have to put a little of their mixing liquid in it to get it to be less bubbly, but once it dries, you can't tell a whole lot if you've got a decent amount of coverage on there. The darker the color, the less you can see the bubbles. And I don't put a really thick coat on because the thicker you put the coat on, the longer it takes to dry. And plus, you may lose the features of the kids as they are on stage, which we don't want to have happen. We want to be able to see their expressions from the audience. So I'm just giving a good basic coat. Trying to make sure Kendall doesn't fall asleep on me. Because for whatever reason, this seems very relaxing to all the kids as I've been doing this to them and practicing. If you mess up, if it goes on too thick, it's easily fixable. This is all water-based paint, and you can send them to the bathroom with a paper towel, tell them what you want them to take off, and have them come back and try again. There's her face. This is not dry yet, and that's really not going to matter. This is going to be covered up with some dark paint as we go. I don't know if you can really see the color all that great. Let me get a little less bright in here. So there's that. So once you get that basic coat on, we'll have a something to help dry, paper plate or something to help it dry quickly. It does not take long, but maybe a minute or two in between when you're trying to go over something. So the next thing is the outline of the darker parts of the monkey faces. So around the edges, we're gonna define sort of the mouth and eyes, and everybody's gonna kind of have the same basic shape, whether it's brown or black. So just for your own purposes of practicing, it's basically the same. We're gonna make a big sort of a loop around here and around the eyes. It's all going to be connected, and then we'll use the darkest of the colors to make accents around the face. Okay, so let's do the outline, and I'm going to use the second medium brush, only because it's such major coverage, such a heavy coverage, but they're narrow, so I try and use it like it's an outline to get the borders, and I kind of start from the top and just kind of make a line across the top, and outline like it's a pen. Use it like it's a pen. Go around, try and make it as even as you can on both sides. So look at the camera. That's kind of the basic shape for the outline. We're going to fill in all the edges with the darker color next, but I wanted you to be able to see sort of what we're doing with that. Okay. And then you just kind of fill in. I usually start at the edge and work my way out just so I don't mess up the edge. Once you have, you want to make sure that the lighter color is dry because it will blend into the dark color if it's not. That's why you don't want to use a thick coat either, because it's all water-based, so it'll thin it out. The paint acts very much like watercolor, so if you're familiar with using watercolor paints, or you want to practice but you don't have a person to practice on, I would just suggest trying to find some watercolors. If you're like me, my kids have watercolors in their craft and drawing supplies in abundance, so I just get you some watercolor paper and there you go. Play around with it a little bit. Thing about this paint is a little bit goes a long way. In all the kits that everybody's going to be working out of, you're going to have jars of paint that's going to be it's going to be labeled for what character it's for, and I'm hoping that we have enough parents and volunteers to help us with the painting that I can kind of walk around and answer questions and fill in gaps where we might need some extra help. And if there's questions for me as we do it. So that is sort of, you can look at the camera now, that's what the face starts to look like as you paint it. And as it starts to dry. So you can kind of see what happens with it, and I can kind of see where it's shiny, it's not dry yet. So you want to try and get it dry. You may want to have two kids going at one time just to make it a little more efficient. Paint one, let that one dry while you paint another one, go back, switch back and forth while the other one dries. Once you get to this point though, this is you don't have to do a lot of painting over what you've painted again, because you're gonna be painting she's turning around because this side is wet, and she needs me to fan it. And the kids can fan it themselves if you've got it, got a paper plate or something handy, piece of poster board or something like that. All right, turn back around. Last but not least is the accent for the monkeys. And so we want to kind of define their noses, their mouth, how we want their mouths to be, and how we want those to stand out. So come back around here. For those, of course, I'll use a thinner brush. That looked really big, that close to the camera, but and the solid or darkest of the colors is what you'll use this brush for. I like to do kind of hair in the middle of their forehead. You can certainly, I kind of take and highlight the borders of the paint, or of the face a little bit. Also to accent the nose so that their nose stands out a little bit. This is probably the most tedious part. Hope you don't make them sneeze while you're doing it. And then to kind of accentuate the edges. And it's just really light brush strokes. It's not anything heavy, or try and make it sort of whimsical, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term on how to describe how to paint. Oh, Kendall says no, it's not. Okay, don't smile for me. And I kind of accentuate their mouth a little bit on the corners. And just really light strokes around their nose. Do some shadowing a little bit. Okay. And there we have our monkey. That's kind of the basics. If it's a black or gray monkey, you're going to have a medium color gray instead of this, and the accents are going to be almost black, not quite. The black we find is really, really harsh on the kids' faces. So we're trying not to use that for a lot on each face, because it fades them out. So this will be a little more perfected, I would say. Color it all in, but in general, I think that's your monkey. Maybe wouldn't do so much quite on the corners of her mouth, but but that's that's sort of what we got so far. If you have questions, let me know.
Please ask.
But this way you can watch it for reference. I'm no video tutorial person at all. This is my first one ever. So,
use this video to practice.
Here's my MC here. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps put your mind at ease about what is going to go into some of these faces. All right. I'll see you soon.
Bye.